Welcome to Ecom Talk. Today we have a Warner Fields. He's an Amazon FBA expert who has generated over $6 million in sales since 2018. He's a co-owner of Boxem, an Amazon FBA shipment software designed to help sellers to create, prep, and track the shipment faster with the inventory tools, 2D barcodes, and real-time analytics. Welcome, Warner.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to chop it up with you here today.
Yeah, I heard a lot about Boxem. My students playing with it, so I was like, okay, let's bring the guy who really knows about the Boxem. And here we go. So tell me a little bit more about yourself and how you get to the software world, and then we diving into more in details about the Boxem.
For sure. So I started selling anything I could sell on Amazon in 2018. It was like my college side hustle, right? So I'd go to thrift stores, I'd go to yard sales, and just looking for anything. So it was mostly like books and old VCR players, like anything I could get my hands on. And then ended up doing that for about a year, and that built up enough like seed money to realize like, oh wait, I can make a whole lot more money buying 100 of one thing rather than 100 things of one unit, right? So I started buying, things from websites and, dabbling with wholesale and that kind of thing. Since then I just basically built out a team to do a lot of like product sourcing for me and really just try to build a business. That's kind of what I'm really focused on, and really just making my time as valuable as possible as business owners, right? Because I think a lot of like business owners, we end up buying ourselves a job, right? We're working all the time. We're the ones sourcing all the products. We're spending too long doing this random task, when that's kind of what I'm focused on, is how do I build a real business out of selling on Amazon. And then through that process, just kind of like make friends and meet people in the community, started talking about doing it online, and then kind of got into the software world because I started using Seller Amp, which is like, for sourcing and that kind of thing. Started working with them and eventually became an owner at Seller Amp, and then eventually also went on to co-found Boxem. Kind of just creating solutions for myself, right? I'm an Amazon seller still selling on Amazon. And as we all know, sometimes working directly on Amazon, not so easy. So it's like, all right, how do I save myself some time here? How do I become a real business owner? Started making those solutions. Like, hey, let's just, let's also sell these solutions to other Amazon sellers.
Yeah, I totally get it because I been selling since 2014, as you know, and I also was looking always how I can be related to Amazon, but not directly being a seller of Amazon, because it's still amazing industry. I love it, but I want to have some sort of a balance. That's why I get into like fulfillment and logistics,
Right.
And some guys went to software, some are distributors, which is totally fine. You need to mitigate the risk some way, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like scared of that too. Is like, if you're an Amazon seller, you have to only sell stuff on Amazon. But the way I look at selling on Amazon is like, for both of us, it was probably like, was it your first business or one of your first businesses you started?
The Amazon, no. I used to have before Amazon, a couple of businesses.
Cool. Sounds good. So you were already a pro, but for a lot of us, it's like our first business, right? It's like, how do I learn how to sell something online? How do I get a customer, right? And then eventually it becomes a stepping stone, or, it doesn't even need to be a stepping stone. You got our awesome foundation of selling stuff on Amazon. And then like you're saying, like, hey, I like the logistics. Let me build a logistics business to do the same, to help other people who are doing what I'm doing, right? Like, it's really good. You'll see a lot of like, just kind of various opportunities that are created just by building that like base skill set, is how I kind of look at it.
Totally. Tell me a little bit story about being as Amazon seller. What was your biggest, I would say, struggle, and how you overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. Like, honestly, like when I think about like, a lot of like the mistakes and stuff I make, I know this is how I feel, and it's how like I'll talk to a lot of other big sellers. Like, a lot of the big mistakes I'm thinking of are like, man, I should have bought 1,000 of that product when I only bought 10, and a lot of those mistakes along the way where you're just maybe a little too cautious. But yeah, I would say for me, like the hardest part of getting into Amazon was always just like finding that first product, that first little catalog of products you can start restocking. And like, what's funny is the first time I started doing like name brand arbitrage, I mentioned I sold books and that kind of thing. I tried it for like a couple weeks and I gave up. I was like, no, like there's no products left. Like, you can't find anything to sell anymore, like that kind of thing. Because it's challenging, right? It's challenging just to find products, even after you've been doing it for a while. Like, good products they don't just fall in your lap. So I'd say product sourcing has always been the biggest challenge in terms of just running a business.
I agree. I agree. No, and in my opinion, also the biggest struggle when people start is to find those products. Because now with the new accounts, it's even harder because a lot of products are gated, so it's
Sure.
much harder. But once you surpass that barrier, I usually say then it's gonna be a next challenge. Okay, where I get more money to
Yeah.
buy those products because now I have too many, right? But it is a barrier that need to be overcome for sure.
Yeah, it's funny how fast that problem can change sometimes. Like we all go through it. You start, it's like I can't find anything, and then like a few months later, you're like, crap, I'm out of money. Like, like
Yes,
how do I solve that now?
yes, yes, yes. Wormer, tell me now about the Boxem. It's
Sure.
it's amazing software. Again, we couple of times looking at it as a community, and we really love it. The I guess the best part that we really like it, the part where you can see the products that are really ungated for the specific
Yeah.
account. So I really want to dive into that, and then we can talk about the other things as well that it can do.
For sure, yeah, and that kind of gets into what we were just talking about, right? Because I'm sure you hear it all the time when you're helping new sellers. I hear it all the time when I'm helping new sellers. Like they open the account, I'm so excited to sell things. Oh wait, everything, literally everything I try to sell, it says it's gated. I'm just going to give up, or I'm only going to sell this thing, right? So we went ahead and created a feature that just works through Amazon's API basically, and you can press a button. We have a default list loaded in there, and it's going to check by default 750 products. It'll take 5 to 10 minutes usually, and on every single one of those brands, it's going to go in to your Amazon seller account basically, and it's just going to press that apply button, right? Because there's like a few different types of products. If you guys are new to selling Amazon, that kind of thing, things you can sell right away, auto ungates. There's things that you have to apply to sell, and then there's things that no one can sell, right? And usually you'd have to just like
Hard gated,
yeah,
basically.
exactly. Yeah, restricted. How people call it all kinds of things, but
Yeah.
before, what you'd have to do is you just like plug in random brands, like, oh, can't sell this, can't sell this, can't sell this. But now you can just go press that button on Boxem. You can also upload your own custom list of products as well, and it's going to go ahead and try to apply for every single one of those ASINs for you. And what I've seen for a lot of like brand new Amazon seller accounts is you'll usually get like 50 to 100 things approved from that default list, which is super cool, right? I was talking to another like awesome influencer, Juan Pardo, and he was like, "Hey, my community is talking about like they're ungated in too many things now." So it's just funny to see like some of the problems flip, and now the problem is like how do I source through all these like different opportunities and stuff, which we can get into. But in general, if you guys are like a beginner seller, like just go play around with that. That'll unlock a bunch of opportunity and just give you like a nice jumping off point to figure out, hey, I can sell this. Cool. Let me go try to find some stuff in that brand.
Yeah, because I guess the biggest struggle for the people who start selling, I mean, they always say, "Hey, there's nothing to sell.
Right.
There's no products. Everything is gated." It's like there's millions of products. Something you must find something, right? But now with this tool, it helps you kind of do the reverse search, right? You
Right.
you first find the products that are ungated in your Amazon store, and then you're trying to source the product to buy. Correct?
Yeah, so it simplifies the process, right? Because if you're a new seller, you're no longer going in and getting all excited about a cool product you just found, and then you realize like, oh wait, I can't sell it. It's like, all right, let me start with what I know I can sell, and then reverse engineer the opportunity. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do to find that.
Right. And tell me about the filters. I mean, what type of filters can you do when you're trying to scan? Can you go by category? Can you go by brand? I mean, what tools do you
Sure.
have to get it a little bit more specific on those ungated searches?
Yeah. So I mean, the Ungate tool is just going to give you like the list of things. So if you want to be like more specific with what you're looking at, you could always plug in like that's where I'd recommend going ahead and going into like a Keep a Product Finder or like a Seller Amp Advanced Search and downloading a big list of those products. Right. For example, the other day I was on a call and we were trying to source stuff from Michaels. Right. We wanted to figure out like, hey, what craft supplies can we sell? So I went to Keepa and I created a list of like 1,000 products that are decent sales rank, have multiple resellers on it, that kind of thing. And then we plugged that list into Boxem, and we got I think like 8 or 10 brands that were also sold at Michaels that we realized like, hey, Michaels has this sale today. We just ran this search of only arts and craft supplies, so now you have like 8 to 10 brands that are on sale at Michaels today. And you just kind of did that filtered search there. So it's more so about like what you're plugging in as you're running the search. So if you want to get like super custom with it, that's where I'd recommend just uploading a list of ASINs or something like that. depending on how you filtered before you're just like throwing stuff in.
Got it. Got it. So if you basically, let's say you want a particular brand, the best way would be filter all the ASIN of that brand, pull up from the Keepa or Smart Scout, any software that you use, and then just upload them into the Boxem, right? And see if any of those products are ungated.
Yeah. So we've had people like they'll open their account and then they'll literally plug in like 50,000 different brands and like try to break the tool and all kinds of stuff. And then they're like, hey man, I ungated 5,000 brands. It's like, all right, great. You scanned half the Amazon catalog, but hey, I respect the hustle.
Right. Because there's no excuse now, right? They cannot say that there's nothing to sell, correct? Now they have thousands of products that they can sell.
Yeah. Now, granted, you run that search, and not every single brand is going to have something that's profitable, right? That happens all the time, where it's like, hey, this, something like I don't know, Crayola. There might be a ton of super profitable Crayola products when it's August, right? But if you scan it right now, maybe there's no like sales. Maybe your wholesalers aren't offering anything crazy, and that's that. I'm sure there's always something good in Crayola. It's just a random brand name, but that's awesome. Kind of the idea, right? Is it gives you those starting points mostly.
Right. Tell me what other things Boxem can do besides the ungated part.
Yeah, for sure. So it's kind of like anything your Amazon business does that's not sourcing products and repricing. So Boxem will track all your analytics. You can manage you can get feedback automated. There's an AI assistant in there that's pretty cool, and we're adding lots of new stuff to that right now. And I've got a restocks feature that will be rolling out here very quickly. I've been using it. We've had some of our beta users testing it, and then shipments, of course. So lots of like different aspects to the tool. Like I said, pretty much the back end of your Amazon business if it's not sourcing or repricing.
I see. So restocking is going to be something with the restocking.
Yep. Yeah. So we've got some people on the early access and that kind of thing right now. I'll hook you up if you want to check it out after the call.
I would love to.
Sounds good. And that's basically just going to go in and it's going to say, hey, based on the fact that you've sold, 30 of these in the last 30 days and you have 14 left, you have 2 weeks of, really easy numbers here, but you have 2 weeks of stock left. You should go restock, 60 because you want to be in stock for 2 months and that kind of thing. Just kind of running the math for you. But what's important about that, kind of the problem we're trying to solve is especially for resellers, right? The prices of our stuff change. So that restocks tool also is able to go in real time and make sure that item is still profitable for you, right? Because just because it was profitable a year ago doesn't mean you can restock it immediately. And I've tested out a lot of restocking tools and it just ignores profit. So it's like, okay, I could restock this, but the item's not there, it's not profitable anymore. So we're really trying to build something that just always creates like a super focused list of things they're always profitable, they're in stock, that kind of thing, and just feeds that back to you.
Yeah, now also a lot of issue with the restocking thing because you don't want to get hit by the overstock fees or low stock fee.
They want you in the perfect spot for sure. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That software helps you to determine that or not there yet? Yes.
Yeah. So in terms of like fee calculations and stuff, it's that's not like on there. It's not gonna be like, hey, you're gonna get charged this if you don't restock now. But it is gonna say like, hey, you have 2 weeks of stock left, and if it's something you sell quickly, it's like, all right, I gotta restock that, or I'm gonna start getting hit with the low inventory fee. Or on the flip side, you might go in and it says, hey, you have 6,000 days left of stock of this product. You probably should lower your price, right? I don't really want to be in stock for the next decade or whatever.
Right. Does it any synchronization with any other softwares?
Repricers, yes. If you use a repricer, it'll just like sync up your costs and that kind of thing. Because a lot of times when you're making a shipment, you're gonna go in, you're gonna say, hey, I bought this from Walmart, I paid $10 for it, and so on, right? And then it's gonna send that information to your repricer, so that if you're going into your repricing software and saying, hey, I want everything to start at 50% ROI. Right, it's going to know what you spent on. It's going to automatically set all that up for you. And while we're at least right now, you can integrate with Be Cool, Seller Snap, and Aura, and then always working on adding more integrations and stuff.
Right. Is Sellerboard? No, Sellerboard.
No, so we are like kind of a replacement for Sellerboard, right? So you can't make shipments on Sellerboard. There's lots of things you can't do on Sellerboard that you can do on Boxem, like getting ungated, that kind of thing.
Just give you fees.
Right, exactly.
Fees,
so if you just want fees, that's what that's for. But if you want fees and you want all the kind of all your business all in one place, then that's what Boxem's for.
Interesting. Okay. And as far as shipments, what type of optimization the shipments? How it helps with the shipments?
Yeah, sure. So you can do different shipment methods, obviously the main difference being optimized versus 2D shipments, right?
Okay.
If you're making an optimized shipment, which usually starts to make sense around, at least from what I've seen in the data, like once you have like a 200 to 250 pound shipment, it usually makes sense to do an optimized shipment, which just means if you guys are new to the game, it means you're going to make all 5 boxes identical or 5 or more identical boxes. If you have like a smaller shipment, then it's usually going to make sense just to do like a 2D shipment, or just don't worry about optimizing the placement. Otherwise, if you try to optimize a shipment that's really light, you might end up paying $3 a pound because you got 5 10-pound boxes, or you can do it all at once and then you're paying 60 cents a pound because you just put it all into one box, which hopefully that makes sense there.
Yeah, got it. So give me one advice for the people who just starting right now. They want to sell on Amazon. What would be that advice for those people?
Ooh, there's all kinds of good stuff you could get into. I'm gonna cheat and give two, kind of the two big unlocks for me. So the first one's a little more tactical, right? And it's super simple, right? We are making items profitable. We're not finding profitable items. Is kind of how I like to look at the business, right? So if you're a wholesaler and you get that price sheet and everything's unprofitable, don't just throw it away, right? Talk to your supplier like, hey, we want to buy 1,000. Can we make this price work, right? You're making those items profitable. Or if you're an online arbitrage seller, even easier, right? All right, it's $20 on the website. I'm going to pass. What a smart seller is going to do is they're going to go in and say, oh, it's $20, but I can find this coupon code. I can use a discounted gift card. I can add some cash back. And oh, wait, that $20 item's $15 now, and now it's profitable, right? It's making items profitable rather than just like looking at the price tag and giving up right away. I'm sure you've seen that in your business a lot, right? You're getting price sheets or whatever it is, and it's like, how do we make this work? How do we make this item profitable? So that's kind of your tactical piece. And then something I wish I had done a lot sooner is just talk to other Amazon sellers. For me, I did that just by literally, I would post on Instagram like, hey, I picked up a bunch of textbooks today. I'm going to sell them on Amazon. And people who also selling books are like, hey, that's what I'm doing. Like, let's talk, right? And there's just so much like collaborative value in just talking to the Amazon sellers, especially people at your level. Go on social media, you'll see somebody, they sold $1,000 last month, and it doesn't matter that they're not posting the biggest sales screenshots on Instagram. They're just trying to show people they're serious, right? And you're like, oh wait, Susan, she's serious. She sold $1,000 in her first month. That's what I want to do. Let me talk to Susan. I'm starting to sell stuff, right? And that's how you just can make those super easy relationships that when it's like, hey, I'm having a hard time sourcing today, or hey, I got this like IP complaint. I know you had one last week. How'd you beat it? Right? That being a community is way more beneficial than thinking that like the products you're finding are super unique, right? Because they're not. We're all selling the same popular name brand stuff. So we can collaborate and make a lot more money with the people you collaborate with.
100%. I would say I started being in a community about 5-6 years ago, with our Ecom community. It's amazing, and I learned a ton. It helped me a lot through struggles as well, because there's a lot of ups and downs in any business, But Amazon, it's a really like tricky, So there's a lot of things that community do help you, and through good and bad, And collaborating with other sellers is always helping. That's why having a mentor, it's, I understand sometimes you have to pay extra, but having a mentor is definitely worth it, because it can save you so much money and so much time. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, for sure. And it doesn't even have to be, getting a mentor or anything. Like, you can literally just make friends on social media, right? It doesn't even have to be super complicated. Obviously, learning from pros is great, but when I was starting, I had $1,000. I wasn't about to spend $5,000 on a mentor, right? I just wanted somebody to like, hey, what's up? Like, what are you doing? Like, we're both building this thing together.
I agree. One last question, a little bit more personal.
Sure.
Who did you have to become to build what you have built today?
Ooh, interesting. I think the biggest thing I've learned from being like growing as an entrepreneur, right? I've been working for myself full time for like 5 years now. Which obviously you gotta be creative and that kind of thing if you're gonna do that. The biggest thing I've learned is if you want to be someone who is the decision maker, the entrepreneur, that kind of thing, you also have to deal with all the problems that you don't have to solve at the 9 to 5, right? There's no one above you to solve this problem, right? Like, for example, like I was at a wedding one time and I get an email from Amazon. They're like, hey, your Amazon account's deactivated. Like, you got to solve it, right? I'm sitting at the wedding and I'm uploading invoices, right? It's not like, hey boss, like we gotta do this, right? So for better or for worse, like you got to be someone who's okay with, with the pressure, right? It's 5 p.m. You're still the owner of the company. If something goes wrong, you're fixing it, right? And that's something where a lot of people who are in our shoes or entrepreneurs talk about being entrepreneurs. A lot of us would be like, quit your job. Like people who have jobs are like worse than me or like some weird stuff like that, right? It's not meant for everyone. So you got to become someone. If you're not right now, you have to become someone that's fine with dealing with the pressure of whatever that problem that might come up, whenever it might come up. You got to be ready for it.
Yes, totally. I'm always laughing when people say that they want to have their own business to have more time.
Yeah.
They have no idea that that's the least what they're gonna have, because
Right.
now you're not gonna be only working 9 to 5. You're basically working 24/7. I mean, you're nonstop. You're always thinking about the business.
Yeah. You're going to have a hard time turning it off for sure, because you're always thinking about, the next idea and that kind of thing. But, at the same time, like, you can make the time, right? Like, you're not going to see a lot of people with a job, going out and, eating lunch with their kid at school, or, going out. Sometimes I'll go play golf at like 11 a.m. because I want to think through something. You're not going to do that as an employee, right? While you're not going to have as much time, you can have a little more flexibility. So obviously, the benefits of being a business owner are well known, but, just like we're saying, you got to take the good with the bad.
Exactly. Werner, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Appreciate, as always. I hope you see maybe in Miami someday.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sounds great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.